Hey guys, so yes, Korea is still not out of the woods with its major crisis to democracy. You have helicopters flying up above. You don't even know if they're coming for you, coming for a communist, or coming for a scooter. But we do have to take some time to give some major updates on the Min Hee-jin situation because it is now very clear that HYBE itself has been battling a coup d'etat themselves over Min Hee-jin's mama just declaring cookie law. And we have a very expert, smooth, chest level response by HYBE legally. So remember the cookie trap that Min Hee-jin's and Min Hee-jin's mama and their minions were trying to set was based around the concept of breach of contract. We agreed to a contract and you guys didn't uphold your end of the contract, therefore we can cancel it. However, not so fast, because in those types of situations, you have to have a significant breach of contract, especially with the language terms that they have. Particularly, it's been said that significant is a very important part of the verbiage there. But in any case, in a general case, it has to be a material breach of contract, which means something significant. And it has to be something significant that was not fixed. The other side, you have to give them a chance, fix it, and fix it within a 14-day window. Min Hee-jin said that, hey, you guys have breached our contract. How? Very unclear. Saying like, oh, our emotions don't feel safe here because you're not protecting us from bullying, or there's copying. A lot of nonsensical things that don't count to material breach of contract, something that the judge would not most likely agree with for Min Hee-jin's. And so that's why Min Hee-jin's didn't go to court. Now, the trick that they were playing was then it sort of is up to ADOR to say, hey, you guys, we know we've been trying to get you out of the 16th floor, but actually legally, you still have to come in to work for ADOR because our contract is still valid. And the trap that the Min Hee-jin side was trying to set up was that ADOR would go, HYBE side would go to court and say like, look, we didn't breach the contract. They breached the contract. Now that's where the trap was. Had ADOR said, no, you guys breached the contract, we didn't breach the contract, then the end result would be canceling the contract no matter what, but then the judge deciding who was at fault. But in any event, it would lead to their freedom and emancipation. What ADOR did was pretty genius. They sued to confirm that the contract was still valid, that the contract is still good. And so now it's up to the Min Hee-jin side, and it's harder for the Min Hee-jin's people to defend itself, to say, no, this contract is not valid. And then they're just going to look like they're making temper tantrums and bringing up justifications that only works on Judge Judy and not in a real court of law.
You sound like a fool.
I don't, because I know what I'm saying.
Are you trying to sound like a fool? You sound like a fool.
The Min Hee-jin's girls, they think perhaps, as a lot of people sort of do, before you really get into some sort of like a lawsuit yourself, or like, you know, the court system yourself, and you're not, you know, it's not your profession, you kind of think the world is Judge Judy, and the Judge Judy shows don't help because they kind of lead us to believe that, oh, if it's just logical, that's probably what the judge would decide. And the judge is like some all-powerful figure that kind of interprets things and then hands a ruling, where that's not how it works at all.
My opinion's the only one that counts.
So again, on December 3rd, while this whole coup thing was happening, ADOR filed a lawsuit with the Seoul Central District Court to confirm the validity of the exclusive contracts. They're saying like, this contract still valid. Everything is a-okay with this contract. But they did have some wordsmith going on saying that we hope that we didn't have to resolve this through a legal judgment, but this is inevitable because exclusive contracts between an agency and an artist cannot be lightly terminated based on one-sided claims. And they wanted to emphasize that they are doing this for the sake of the entire K-pop industry, because this contract is really foundational to the business model of K-pop. You have these agencies that scout artists and invest a lot into them and put them into their own machinery that they have to invest in. And so if you put all of this investment into a K-pop artist and then you've brought them up to a national, international level, and then they just say like, okay, see ya, we're going to go for a better deal by somebody who might throw them more money because they didn't have to pay for the time to develop and research everything and invest in everything to bring up the value of these artists, then it would crumble the industry because there would be no scouting to begin with. There would be no investing in anybody to begin with. And nobody would trust anybody else and the entire system would collapse. So anyhow, they're saying that this is a bigger issue and we have to do this. And we have to do this to prevent misunderstanding. So, you know, that scenario where somebody was just like, oh, hey, I'll pick up New Jeans. I didn't have to bet on a bunch of different artists and see which one pops. We know that one popped. Hey, come over here. We're going to snatch you and steal you. So ADOR is also saying like, look, anybody who wants to do that, it's like anybody who wants to be a Gargamel, you ain't snatching up our Smurfs. And so they said that we want to prevent misunderstandings that the artist might have, New Jeans, about the legality of your contract termination, which could lead to violations of current exclusive contracts in the entertainment activities, causing unexpected damage, which basically means like y'all gotta pay us back if you do this, and confusion among domestic and international industry stakeholders. They're saying like, look, they have basically put out an APB on these New Jeans and put them on some Interpol list in the K-pop industry saying like, look, if you try to do something with New Jeans independently of ADOR and HYBE, be ready for a lawsuit. ADOR went on to say that K-pop has developed through this synergy between the artist's talent and company's full investment and trust, and that proactive support over a long period of time is essential, especially in the K-pop industry, and that they hope that the agency and artist can grow together over a certain period of time. And so this mutual agreement is the foundation of this exclusive contract. If something is going to need time for it to make sense for you to invest in or be part of, then you have to make sure that contract is dependable over a longer period of time. If you have a contract for a day and it doesn't work out, like there's less of a perhaps impetus, depending on the situation, to be so like, oh, this contract is important. But if it's over like a 7-year period, you better believe that that contract has got to be respected. They're basically saying that this fundamental agreement, if it's not upheld, then it will completely destroy any trust in the form of investment because you can't get it back. You can't have any trust in the power of this contract and the system. And that means once all of that trust is gone, then you don't get systematic support, investment, system enhancement, like continuous upgrades. So that is the cycle of growth, ADOR is saying, in the K-pop industry. And this is to safeguard the sweat and dreams of many. Now we know we've had, there have been slave contracts, there have been unfair contracts, and so contracts definitely have to be looked at and continuously revised, and we do have to uphold the status of the artist. But in this situation, we've seen that New Jeans didn't put any of that kind of blood, sweat, and tears under an unfair system, and yet they're the ones reaping the rewards of like, we have to protect artists from bad companies. Girl, take a number, okay? We have a bunch of SM artists probably still drinking their salty tears that still have not been able to have their moment, especially not at the National Assembly. But maybe they weren't willing to sell their cookies for a fundraiser. ADOR went on to say that they have numerous requests that were turned down to meet and discuss with New Jeans, but they will continuously make efforts to resolve any misunderstandings between the artists and the agency. And of course, ADOR remains steadfast in its commitment to say that they want to repay the love for New Jeans music with better activities. So ADOR is in. ADOR has always been in. They're just waiting for perhaps the New Jeans girls to grow out of adolescence and come back to work like adults, which a lot of them officially are. Okay, let's move on to the statement put out by the Korea Entertainment Producers Association that essentially reinforced and reiterated ADOR and HYBE's position, namely from the standpoint of how important these artist contracts are for the stability and the growth and the investability and trust in the whole K-pop industry. And if you really want to look at this from a standpoint of media play, this would be an example of a positive or healthier version of media play if it were one. If it's not, it's essentially the Korea Entertainment Producers Association just looked at this without any prompting and just said, look, this is very important to us and our association and our members and our mission to speak out on this. That is the truest, most honest form of this type of a statement. And especially if the KEPA is a real organization, which it looks like it is. The good media play part would be if they got a call from HYBE's team, either through the PR agency or their own internal PR, and asked, hey, KEPA, we're going through this right now. We could really appreciate your support on this issue. Can you issue a statement? Better yet, then the more media play-ish part of it would be like, we'll have our people coordinate, or here's our message, can you incorporate it? That would be somewhat of a media play. I'm giving you the gradations of when it turns into Jezebel Institute of Treachery media play. Now, where it would cross into Jezebel Institute of Treachery media play is that KEPA didn't really exist as a real organization, and they set it up as like a fake organization and then control any kind of message out of it and have the public believe that, oh gosh, this is an association that has nothing to do with New Jeans, and they're totally supporting New Jeans. Or if it was a HYBE media play out of the Jezebel Institute of Treachery, it'd be supporting HYBE's position. I think these days it's a little bit harder to sort of create a fake organization. So where we saw a lot of this play out in the whole New Jeans situation were these kind of fake netizen comments and bots. So on the positive side of a somewhat media play is that you take real netizens' thoughts and you report on them and you coordinate that with probably a media organization. The Jezebel Institute way is to fake the netizen comments with comments that you create yourself that is advantageous to you, and then work with a media organization that you paid off, have them reiterate the netizen position as if it's all real, but it's essentially you manufacturing your point of view. This Korea Entertainment Producers Association, I think, is at the level of it being pure. And I'm still, just being like, leaving the room open. Maybe they got a call from HYBE, but that's essentially, I think, the extent of it, because there is skin in the game for KEPA to not let this real adulteration of the justice system happen, because it's just going to now, what do they say? They are shaken at its very roots due to the New Jeans incident. And essentially that's probably because they're seeing like all these bunny uncles go along with it. Usually they probably wouldn't even have to worry. They'd be like, okay, this is crazy. It's not going to work because adults go to work, and then they're like, okay, well, these adults going to work are bunny uncles who are about to like mess up more than they know just so that they can get a little cookie. And so they said that first, the exclusive contract is not merely a piece of paper, but the culmination of mutual trust and promises. Yes, you know how long it takes to make some of these contracts up, and they're just going to be like, nope, sorry, see ya, gone like yesterday's wig. So they said contract termination can only occur when the party seeking termination provides justifiable grounds. However, New Jeans has failed to present concrete evidence to support their reasons. In fact, they have not only demanded certain corrections that extend beyond the terms agreed upon the agency and the artist, but unilaterally announced the contract termination through a press conference. So they're saying like, look, they are saying there's a breach of contract, but they just added stuff into this contract in their heads. It's not even in the contract for them to demand ADOR to fix. It's like hiring somebody to fix your roof, and then you're complaining now that they didn't fix your bathroom. And how can you trust the roof when they didn't fix the bathroom? Girl, it's not even in the contract. So they're saying like this is just beyond crazy, which is probably why they also thought they probably didn't have to say anything in the first place. But then they're looking at them bunny uncles just salivating. So then second, they said there may be issues of tampering. And this tampering phrase has been reiterated in so much coverage of this lately in Korean media when you hear tempering. And at first I thought, I was like, are they talking about tempering? Like, you know, trying to get the right temperature to melt like candy or something? You know, you're tempering the temperature, but they meant tampering. So that means, I don't know, it's like tampering. And so this is why you have to see what is recognized in legal cases as something serious in your neck of the woods. And in Korea, there is a category of tampering, which is the illegal act of enticing, in this case, an artist away before their exclusive contract ends. So all of those meetings with investors, all of those situations where to make an ADOR an empty shell, in order to manipulate the situation so that the contract can end, and then have New Jeans be like, well, you don't know what happened? Like it just all fell apart, you know, around us. Well, they're being called out for actually having a hand now in this tampering type of situation. Why is this serious to the KEPA? Because it destroys trust in the entertainment industry at its core. It's not merely a case of breaching a contract. It is an act of betrayal against the long-standing cooperative relationship that the agency and the artist have built together. Okay, third, the KEPE said that the unilateral termination declaration by New Jeans could really put the industry at danger by setting a perilously dangerous precedent. Because, and as ADOR said in their statement, agencies bear the risk of discovering and nurturing artists, investing immense time and capital. So if you kind of look at this in the sense of like, if you've ever been like an angel investor or VC investor, you expect not all of your investments to pop. Maybe there's just that one Uber, there's that one Facebook. But because there is this solid contract, you do then have people invest. And then you have a lot more people getting a chance to audition and join a group in the K-pop industry. If you did not have such a climate where an investor can think like, okay, I'm going to invest in 10, and maybe if one of them hit, that's fine. But then they've started 10 groups, 10 different groups of artists have been able to start their dreams in that kind of situation. If not, then there's going to be way fewer people who are going to be accepted in any trainee program. Maybe there won't even be a trainee program anymore because the contracts have been messed up where it doesn't make any economic sense for somebody to be like, I'm going to invest all this money into you and then you're just going to run off if you hit it big. So the KPA said that they announced their termination before even half of their contract period had elapsed, along with all of the other associated tampering allegation. It undermines the relationship between agencies and artists. And so if such arbitrary contract terminations were tolerated, who would dare invest in the Korean K-pop market in the future? The statement went on to say the KEPA urgently requests that New Jeans immediately withdraw this unfounded and irresponsible claim, return to their original intentions, and continue their activities in a normal manner. So, girls, let's all let this go. Go back to work. That is not a bad place to go back to work to. Go back to work, please. And let's stop this business, calm down them bunny uncles, and save the K-pop industry. But of course, the KEPA, this is why I say that they are taking this seriously because of the bunny uncles. They said, finally, we earnestly appeal to the National Assembly and government officials, aka bunny uncles who are wanting to do a coup on the K-pop industry. Honestly, when I had that title for my thumbnail that said cookie law, I really was thinking martial law, as in like a coup d'etat. I had no idea that the president of South Korea would take it for real and do a real thing with where I would then have to make a thumbnail title with martial law and him doing martial law. Anyhow, so they're appealing to the National Assembly and the government officials who are looking like heroes right now against martial law, but let's not forget they were doing cookie law just the week before. So they said that pop culture and entertainment industry may begin with corporate capital, but the creation and the ongoing activities of a star are supported by the hard work and sacrifices of countless workers within that enterprise. So the National Assembly is supposed to represent the people. This is a smart way for the KEPA to couch their argument because the voters are what's important to the National Assembly, not some KEPA. They're saying like, look, you go along with this cookie law and you're trying to get your few cookies, you are going to threaten your voter base who are going to be out of a job because this K-pop industry, you might just look at the idols and be like, oh, they're the ones working, but it's countless people who are working in that industry and in a very important industry. You know, you guys know, international fans know the knock-on effects on the economy, tourism, even the ramen, that puldak ramen being like a bestseller around the world. A lot of that has to do with K-pop. And so those people in the ramen business had nothing to do with K-pop depend on the future of the K-pop industry now. So they said, therefore, the disputes over the exclusive contracts and issues of tampering are not only matters of corporate survival for just HYBE and ADOR, but also intimately tied to the livelihoods of many industry workers. We implore you once again to establish robust supplementary measures to prevent further occurrences of unilateral contract terminations by artists. So this unilateral system. Now, do I completely trust the KEPA? I don't trust anybody completely, okay? So in this case, though, it could strengthen the KEPA to make the next K-pop group who are actually abused and actually need to get out of their contracts, it might make it harder for them because you've strengthened this position about this unilateral move. Usually, if you're the slave master and your slave wants to unilaterally leave, they're going to do it unilaterally because you don't want your slave to leave. So this is a situation where perhaps the lawmakers, instead of focusing on cookies, they could be focused on improving the legal structure around artists and agencies. everything needs an upgrade. Everything needs to get better. Everything needs to have this greater good focused on it instead of focusing on he got more chocolate chips than I did. So did New Jeans respond to all of these messages? Oh yes, they did. Although when we look at the end of the message, it looked like Min Hee-jin had to pull an all-nighter and she had to write this. But officially, it said New Jeans issued a statement on the lawsuit ADOR filed against them. Hello, this is Minji, Honey, Daniel, Hedden, and Hain. So they're being careful about this and they're not saying, hi, we're New Jeans. They're now using their names, and a lot of the reporters are using an abbreviated format of their names now instead of calling them New Jeans, although they should still call them New Jeans because they is New Jeans and they are still part of ADOR legally. But they said, recently through the media, we learned that ADOR filed a lawsuit seeking confirmation that our exclusive contracts with them remain valid. In its official statement, ADOR failed to properly assert that there were no breaches of exclusive contract. Instead, it merely repeated the claim that the company provided support and investment and that contract termination is impossible until those costs are recovered. That was an interpretation. You just heard the ADOR message, and I'll link the full one below. They said, however, we have already returned profits in excess of our investment to both ADOR and HYBE, and HYBE attempted to sabotage us. Look, again, they think they're on Judge Judy.
I'm not giving you a quarter. I think that you're a very bad businesswoman.
Ma'am,
I think that you
3 days later.
I think that
he
you
canceled 3 days later. My policy is no refunds.
Miss Noller. Miss
Noller.
In my policy. I'm talking, you're not.
Just because you return profits in excess of the initial investment doesn't mean that the contract immediately ends. Let's say you've lived in your apartment for 30 years and every month you paid rent that may have been more than the original purchase price of the house. That doesn't mean that you just get to take the house. Even Judge Judy wouldn't agree to that sort of arbitration.
Told me that this is what I needed to bring to sign.
No. I don't care what anybody told you. I want the title.
They claim that they're being sabotaged. They say that they are going to suffer more harm in the future, especially given this breakdown in trust. I don't know what angels are still looking over New Jeans, but they think that they wouldn't have been harmed in a Wi-Fi factory trying to turn, storage room into a dance practice studio. Nevertheless, they said, our trust in ADOR and HYBE has been shattered by their inability to fulfill their obligations to protect their artists and their repeated breaches of contract. Even though they don't say what they are, they just keep repeating this story about bullying in the hallway by another company's employee, which may not be true. Most likely looks like not true, and that there's no evidence of. Anyhow, they say that this is not only unreasonable, it is inhumane. Inhumane. May I remind you again that your conditions in a Wi-Fi router factory would actually probably have been inhumane. They probably would have roped you in during your break time to go work the assembly line or at least pack some boxes. The girls went on to say, we gave them a 14-day grace period to cure the breach, but they failed to do so at all, so we gave them a notice of termination, which was effective immediately in accordance with the exclusive agreement. But yet they didn't want to go to the judge because the judge would probably say no bueno. They went on to say ADOR issued a statement misleading the public into believing that the contract still remains in force. To be clear, as of November 29, 2024, we are no longer part of ADOR, and ADOR has no right to interfere or intervene in our activities. Girls, you try to do something, you are not going to go see Judge Judy. You would actually be lucky if you were able to see Judge Judy.
That's outrageous. Outrageous.
I didn't do
Your
it.
conduct, yes, you did.
I didn't
Your
do it.
conduct is outrageous.
Go meet some of them judges who are not going to be part of your bunny uncle camp. They said, oh, no matter how much you try to divide us, the five of us are united and nothing can separate us. The fact that they had to say that, and the other rumblings that we had about, even within the girls, bullying happening, and also that perhaps the telegram messages that were leaked came from one of the girls' families, makes it seem like they might be fracturing right now. They say, we are working on the remaining scheduled shows with ADOR, but we have also witnessed managers and staff who are helping us with those shows crying because they have been severely harassed by ADOR and HYBE. That makes it suspect because they say that the reason was including having their laptops taken away from them and being subjected to interrogations. I don't think so. I could kind of see that maybe there's somebody else in the room making these staff members cry. And of course, they can have their laptops taken at any time. And they can be questioned by the boss. They said, we know we have a long road ahead of us, but we have a dream of a life with our fans who love us through healthy music, and we want to make sure we fulfill that dream. Girl, in your song Cookie, you said that you don't care if your fans or listeners get a cavity, okay, from the cookies. So now you want to make healthy music? Then they go on to say, even after the change of the CEO and despite multiple revelations of HYBE's problems, ADOR has not corrected them. Not corrected them, says who? ADOR says that they have done over and over and above and beyond what they need to do to correct the situation, and any observer looking at this is actually shocked at how nice ADOR has been, how accommodating ADOR has been, how much nobody else in their right mind would be this patient with these girls. Now here's the kicker. It says, we are deeply disappointed that ADOR has chosen to sue us again. Again? Who's really writing this? Because as far as I know, this is the first time that the New Jeans members themselves are being taken to court. But who has been taken to court before? Min Hee-jin. So if anybody would say you're doing this to us again, it would be Min Hee-jin. Girl, just as Dispatch said, the silent hand is just way too loud. Well, the New Jeans girls do say that they look forward to the trial process, which will shed light on the circumstances that led us to choose to terminate our exclusive contract and the reasons for ADOR's breach of contract. And we would like to express our gratitude to the many people who have supported us and continue to support and love the five of us. So first of all, I am wondering if ADOR is still gonna style their going to court outfits, because if ADOR thinks that New Jeans, you're still part of our family, even if you're trying to get emancipation, I still gotta clothe you and feed you. So that would be interesting. And when they go to court to shed light on what happened, expect a major Judge Judy type of spectacle.
You want to tell me why you can't work?
I mean, honestly, I have...
No, I want you to be dishonest with me.
No.
I want you to look at this face, and I want you to be dishonest with me.
Now, why does Judge Judy not work as a template to understand how the legal system works? And even though I am a fan of watching her, I like it, I think it's funny, I still think that it does a disservice to the public's understanding of the whole justice system. They are legally transparent, but also extremely transparently tricky on that show. That show, they say this is real cases, real people, and this is how it's going to be decided. Okay, yes, they were real cases that have gone into arbitration, which means they're real cases that instead of going to court, instead of going to a real judge, you're going to a place where you're going to have a legally binding negotiation. And the whole pomp and circumstance of it being a courtroom, that is pretty much a lie. It should just be Judge Judy not in a robe, but in Talbots in a conference room. And in that type of situation, the reason why it's more fun as a TV show is that it's not going to be bounded by the technicalities of the law. So then you really get into the passion, the emotions, the logic of who is right. And she just needs to decide within the scope of the law, yes, but she doesn't have to, in these types of situations, rule on technicality. So that whole thing about Min Hee-jin getting the injunction on her side because there was a technicality of that she didn't betray HYBE, she didn't betray ADOR, she betrayed HYBE, but since her contract is with ADOR, then therefore she gets off scot-free. That kind of situation is a lot less bounded in arbitration. And then there are cases where I think the cap is $5,000. So they're not going to be issues that really challenge the constitutionality of the legal system. So they're just kind of like low level cases, but then it makes everybody think like court is about like, oh yeah, well, whoever has the most, this is just what's logical. We've already paid back the initial investment. So therefore, why is this contract still valid? Like that is something in Judge Judy land, but not in real court land. And these New Jeans girls, I'm still going to call you New Jeans because you're New Jeans. Yes, you are. Use the name, but be bound by ADOR and the contract that you signed. They're going to find out the difference between a Judge Judy type of world and the actual legal system, which itself, yes, continuously needs to be upgraded and modified, but you can only do it if you actually use it. And so we need more people who are trying to use it for the right way to use the legal system, because it's sort of like whoever wears the shoe, it's going to be molded to their foot. And here we have a lot of criminals using the justice system, so that shoe is molded like Al Capone. So what do you guys think of New Jeans doubling down on their Emancipation Proclamation and reacting to ADOR's very, very clever legal maneuvering to reinforce the contract, and the Korea Entertainment Producers Association reiterating and reifying the stance that the entire future of K-pop is at stake if we let this bunny uncle adulteration of the agency artist symbiosis maintained by an exclusive contract. All right, guys, put your comments below. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.